My aunt called me and told me that she thought she had something in her RV. This RV was parked beside my other aunt's house that she had had for a while. And I knew from growing up that there was something crazy in that house. There had always been something wild going on in there. I had never had a chance to go out there and investigate. Well, at this point in time, the aunt that owned that house was living in a different house. She still owned this one, but nobody was living there. So I found this to be a good opportunity to go ahead and go in that house and check it out. Well, nobody was there. So Jimmy and I went out, and I wanted to start on the house. And we went in, and I automatically knew that it was an entity that was living in there. So I walked around, and I knew certain areas where this thing liked to stay. And I went to that area, which was the back of the house. And back in this area, there's a long story involved that I'm not going to get into on this story. But some crazy things were involved. And I wanted to check this area out first. And I knew when I got back there that whatever entity used to be in there was no longer there. But I could still feel the negative energy, the residual energy that it left behind. And I knew it was up to no good, which explained a lot in the backstory of this area, of this house. So I went through other areas of the house, and I got into a different part where I knew some stuff was going on. And I encountered an entity that was not positive, not negative, and it acted like it did not want me to be there or talk to it, but in a different way, not like a, I don't really know how to explain that. Not like a negative get out type of way. It was a strange feeling. It's the best way I can put it. But I started trying to pinpoint where it was. And if you have encountered entities in depth and you know much about the energy, a little explanation. If, for example, this entity, most of them are somewhat the size of the average human, and there's a center of energy, but it's not always in the center. It's not like the center of energy doesn't necessarily have to be in the chest. The center of energy could be in the foot. The center of energy could be in the shoulder, in the head. It's in different places with different entities, and it can move around. But there's a ball of energy and there's a center. And this was what I was looking for, because that helps me pinpoint where the entity is. It doesn't matter where the center is. That'll just tell me where it's at. So I was trying to pinpoint this energy. I finally located it, and I looked in that direction, and I couldn't see him. I just knew he was there. And I asked him what he was doing. And he said, "Leave me alone." And that was a very strange reaction from an entity, because they've usually got something they're doing. So I asked him again. I said, I just want to know what you're here for. And he basically explained that he was sick of his job. He didn't want to do what he was supposed to do anymore. And he was trying to be forgotten. He was like off the grid, trying to make whoever was giving him his orders forget that he was around. It was really strange, but I understood, and he wanted to be left alone, wanted to be forgotten, so we moved on. We still had the RV to go do. So we stepped outside. We talked about it for a minute and how strange that was. And then we decided to go into the RV. This RV was very small, so we couldn't both go in at the same time. And we were wondering if the energy from the thing inside the house was bleeding over into there and giving a feeling. And I asked my aunt how it felt inside the trailer. And she said that she did not want to be in there. It got so thick in there that she couldn't sleep. She was scared for her life, and she didn't want to be in there. And I knew that that's a negative energy. That's not this neutral thing that's over in the house. So I stepped into the trailer, and I felt exactly what she was talking about. So I stepped a little bit further in and moved toward where the bed was. And what I saw was an insane sight. I refer to movies a lot because a lot of people seen movies and it gives you a visual. This thing, you take the general makeup of Hexus from Fern Gully. I know it sounds funny, but it was like he was made of oil. He was it looked like a liquid type of being, but he was crawling across the bed coming toward me. And his shoulders and his hips were reversed, it looked like, because his elbows and his knees were above his back. And he was crawling kind of like a spider across the bed, but he opened his mouth and hissed at me. And this, I guess you would call it ethereal liquid, was pouring out of his mouth as he was hissing at me. And I went ahead and named him the Crawler. I didn't want to talk to him because I was already under the impression that he did not want to talk. So I just slowly backed away and stepped out of the RV. And I told my aunt what was in there and that I recommended buying a new RV.